this chap went up to the homeless person and said, if I give you £5, would you mind if I changed 5 words on that sign? And the homeless person said, why not? £5, you can change the words on my sign. So he said, okay. So I'll change the words on this sign, but I'm going to go into the restaurant and I'd like you to stay here whilst I'm in the restaurant, and when I come out of the restaurant, which will be about an hour, I'll give you another £5. Would you do that for me? And the homeless guy's going, woohoo, £10 an hour. Great, I could sit here all night. I'll be doing that. So, an hour later, sorry, it's a short story, he comes out of the restaurant. Sure enough, the homeless person's still sitting there. And he's bubbling with enthusiasm, he's really excited. People have been coming along and just chipping in money, can't really understand it. And he's sitting there and the guy says, here's the £5 that I promised you, so how much has it gone? He said, well, I think I've got about £50, £60 for just sitting here for the hour. And all he did was change 5 words, right? So the words that he changed, instead of homeless, please help, were how much would you eat? Because he's sitting outside. How much would you need to eat? And, I've got the word slightly wrong, but how much would you need to eat? Something like that. And the fact that he was outside the restaurant caused people to come to him because he said, the you word, and involved the reader and their emotions. Instead of help me, it's what would you do to help me? Put them in that position. And we found in Web Optimizer over the last year that probably longer now, but economic changes, I think, have affected this. But in the last year, maybe 18 months, our approach to search marketing has often been, before then, it was often kind of sell, 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 much more features, advantages, benefits, much more telling people about the product and getting people to buy based on the benefits of the product. In the last year or so and more, what we've found is that the more we put people into the equation, emotion if you like, into the promotion, into getting them involved, the more results and reaction that we've got. So we found that in practice. So even though that little story is perhaps hearsay, that's how we found it to be in real life. But there's one short final element to this story which I think is a little bit of proof. We have attended a number of events through an organisation called Entrepreneurs World. I think some of us in the room probably heard of Entrepreneurs World. And we recently attended an event, we were invited to attend an event, and in the room was Lord Stanley Fink, is that the correct name? He happens to be the current Conservative Party chairman, which is very interesting. He also happens to be the person that runs the largest publicly owned hedge fund in the world. So Lord Stanley Fink is possibly one of the richest people in the world, and we're very happy to be in the same room as him. So whilst we should have been listening intently to every single word he had to say, and I was definitely trying, hoping that some of this would rub off, I suddenly heard this voice, and it was a voice that I recognised. I couldn't quite work out whose voice it was. And this voice got closer and closer and said, "Hello, David," and it turned out to be Michael. Michael was in the room. And despite the fact that we should have been in the room listening to Lord Stanley Fink, this personal situation completely took me, and I just stopped listening to whatever he was saying, and I was just focusing at that time totally on to Michael. So even when you're in a room with all the money in the world, when something personally really happens to you and gets to you, then you just breaks that trance and draws you in. So I think that's a nice little piece of proof to that initial story.